What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Serve Neat. I'm Anthony, and today we're going to be talking about Black History Month. Which means we're celebrating culture, legacy, and today we're celebrating liquor. Educationally, historically, and of course, responsibly. Now, some of y'all been drinking black-owned liquor this whole entire time and didn't even know it. You thought you were being classy. You're supporting the culture by accident. We'll take it. Before we dive in, if you watched my previous video with Tap 33, Augusta's first black-owned brewery, then you already know it isn't about drinking, it's about ownership. And I'll put the link in the description down below. Tap 33 wasn't just serving beer, they were serving representation. And that hits different when you see somebody who looks like you owning the tanks, running the operation, building something from scratch. Because for a long time in this country, we're allowed to build things, just not own them. And that's what today's all about, the spirit of ownership. And yes, that poem was intentional. Now personally, I'm biracial, which means growing up, I got to witness two sides of a lot of conversations. One side, we built this country, and the other side, we also built this country. As a kid, I was confused, like during Thanksgiving, who do we root for? But being mixed gave me something valuable. Perspective. I saw early how history sounds different depending on who's telling it. And when it came down to black ownership in the liquor industry, a lot of those stories just kind of faded out. It's not because it wasn't important, it's because they weren't convenient. Okay, so let's rewind. Alcohol is one of the oldest industries in the world. Fermentation goes back thousands of years. Africa, Europe, Asia, everywhere, right? Now, here's something that always doesn't get highlighted. Enslaved African brought with them agriculture, knowledge, fermentation skills, distilling techniques. They weren't just laborers, they were skilled. They understood crops, they understood yeast, they understood chemistry before chemistry had a podcast. On plantation, enslaved people were often the ones that did the distilling and the whole production with whiskey and rum. They were good enough to run the operation, just not good enough to own it. It's like being the chef or the manager, the recipe creator, and the restaurant's called Chad's Steakhouse or something like that, right? And then you fast forward to post-slavery America, black entrepreneurs tried to build businesses, including the liquor business. Between discrimination laws, license restriction, segregation, violence, and the lack of capital, it was almost impossible to scale.
When Prohibition started, nobody, black folks or white, could raise a glass for 13 long years. Empty bars, busted barrels, neighbors hauled off by the law. We told ourselves it was for the greater.
America lasted about 13 years, and then they were like, yeah, we're lying to ourselves. But Prohibition hit black-owned businesses especially hard, right? Now, when the business started shutting down and then reopened, guess who were the first ones to get their licenses? Not the ones who are already being excluded. And that pattern kept repeating. Every time the industry grew, access stayed limited. Now here's the best part that I love. Despite all that, black excellence still found their way. Let's talk about Uncle Nearest. Nearest Green was an enslaved man who taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey. That's right, Jack Daniels. Let that sink in for a little bit. He taught him how to do the distillery, the techniques, the filtering process, the whole entire craft. But history minimized his name. And then after generations, now it's finally being told. And now there's a whole entire award-winning whiskey, and it's called Uncle Nearest. And if you had it, it's smooth. It's like reclaim and respect smooth, you know? And then you got other brands also. For decades, black communities were marketed to, but rarely empowered to own their own business and brands that they were marketing. And that's the difference between a target audience and being an owner. Alright, let's talk about something real for a second. Supporting black-owned liquor brands isn't about guilt. It's not about division. It's about balance, right? If a group of people help build the industry, they deserve some kind of equity in it. That's not racial, that's logical. We live in a time right now where people are debating what part of history should be taught, what should be altered, and even deleted.
We need to remind ourselves of that dual truth that we exist in.
How hard does that become when you have an administration that is actively trying to delete, erase, prevent the education of that very specific issue that you're talking about? I mean, they're trying to remove books from book shelves. They're deleting the profiles and erasing the profiles of prominent black Americans. They're trying to make it almost taboo to celebrate anything to do with black America and black history in America. And so you're talking about the importance of that, and you have an administration actively trying to do and counter the exact opposite of that.
It's been its own firestorm. I mean, from 2021 to 2024, nearly 1/3 of states have banned K-12 school curricula that offer critical perspectives on America's racial history. During that same time period, legislatures in at least 40 states introduced more than 200 pieces of legislation to restrict what teachers can discuss and actually punish them for teaching what some call divisive topics. Now, supporters argue this protects kids from political indoctrination, but critics argue it does the opposite, that limiting complex, honest conversations about history, it leaves students with a simplified and distorted picture of the world.
People are trying to have the discussion and they say, well, that's uncomfortable. But growth is uncomfortable. And if you're erasing history, you can't fix it, right? You repeat it, you just make it more marketable. And I think it's very important right now, especially during Black history, that we not erase history, right? Not the painful parts, not the triumphant parts. We need to learn from our mistakes and celebrate our successes. And that's how you make the world a better place. We can't pretend like things didn't happen. Black entrepreneurs are entering the space at an even higher rate than ever before. But access to capital distribution, networks, and shelf space is still a major hurdle. So when you buy a beer from Tap 33 or a black-owned bottle, you're not just buying a drink. You're participating in economic correction. And that's powerful. When a young black kid walks into a distillery and sees an owner that looks like them, that's starting to plant a seed. When a kid like me grows up seeing both sides of the narratives and then sees ownership expanding, that clears confusion. It says the story isn't one-sided, it's layered. And we're still riding it. And let's be honest, some of y'all didn't care about the history. Y'all just really want to know what stuff tastes like. Fair enough. Well, I got some good news. A lot of these brands have award-winning records in a blind taste testing. They don't need a backstory or anything like that. They just need a fair shot. And that's where this conversation comes in. Access, opportunity, ownership. So here's my challenge during Black History Month, right? Try something new. Research black-owned brands. Visit a black-owned brewery. Not because it's political, but it deserves support. And excellence deserves recognition. Now, before anybody says, what about the white-owned liquors during the months? It's not about taking a piece of slice from a whole pie. In the end, Black History Month isn't about rewriting history. It's about completing it. It's about sharing the things that weren't known before and really giving a perspective on things. It's about saying, yes, there were struggles. And yes, there was injustice. But there's also innovation, entrepreneurship, and resilience. Master distillers' names were lost, now found. Breweries are breaking barriers, and families are building generational wealth. Now, if you're black, white, or mixed like me, support excellence, support ownership, support legacy. And if you're gonna drink, at least drink historically for educational purposes. And if you like seeing videos like this, which I haven't done before, leave a comment, like, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and all of that stuff. Hit that button. And again, I want to give a shout out to Tap 33, to Augusta's first black-owned brewery, and I hope to get to do something with you again at one point or another. And as always, serve it neat. Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's rewind. Alcohol is one. The heck was that? Okay.